Hey everybody, what's up? What's up? Welcome to another episode of Better Future Conversations with your host Mike Sylvester, aka the Financial Jetly. As always, I'm super excited to continue this journey with you, this journey to a better financial place. And in this week's video, I want to talk to you about something very special. I want to talk to you about buying a vehicle. But before I jump into the nuts and bolts of this week's video, I want to take this opportunity, as always, to say how immensely grateful I am for the continued outpouring of support for the growth and development of this channel. We recently made our target of 1,000 subscribers, and I'm super excited about that. And so, my friends, if you're watching this video for the very first time and you have not yet subscribed, please do so. Click the button below, the subscribe button. And I also want you to share this video with at least one friend of yours or one family member. If you do that and they all subscribe, we can have 2,000 plus subscribers by the end of this week. So my friends, don't hesitate. Please do that. I also want to thank those who have gotten copies of my book, and I want to encourage others who have not gotten their copy as yet to do so, and learn useful tips, useful strategies to help you to revolutionize your financial situation, to help you to learn to save, to invest, to increase your income, to leverage insurance protection, and of course, to spend your scarce resources wisely, and this is what this topic is about: spending wisely, and in this case, we are talking about buying a car. So my friends, if you have not gotten a copy of the book, it's available on Amazon, or my website, www.betterfutureconversations.com. So you can get it there and you can start reading, and of course, again, I want to thank you for making that a very important decision that can change your life. So my friends, now to the details of this week's video, and I want to approach it from the perspective of whether you're living in Grenada or the Caribbean, or whether you're living in the US. So the process is a bit nuanced based on where you're living, so I want to approach it from that perspective. But before I do so, I think one of the first things I want to mention is that I would not buy new, right? So I would not buy a new vehicle. I would have gotten a new vehicle back in 2007, many years ago, and I think I consider that one of the worst financial decisions I ever made. I had problems with the vehicle from the very start. The dealer was not very helpful, and basically it was a runaround. The warranty expired, and then they decided they no longer had any responsibility for whatever complaints that I had. And it was a really bad situation. I think what took the cake for me though was that I wanted to use the value of the vehicle as a security for a loan. And I went back to the dealer, and this was a vehicle that I got on concession. So what I mean by that is that if the vehicle cost $100,000, I basically paid $75,000 for it because I got it on concession. And when I went back to the dealer, it was not even a month, and the value was about $50,000, I think. And I was like, what? And I was like, this almost blew me away, So one of the things that you have to understand is that, buying new, as soon as you drive that vehicle off the lot, the value of that vehicle depreciates significantly. So you're talking about 40-50% within the first couple of years, so that's something that you need to avoid. So you can get a used vehicle that, is a number of years old, of course low mileage, that is in still good condition, and the value that what you're paying for it, is sort of could be equivalent to the value of the vehicle. So you can do that. So my friends, that is an approach that you can take. As I said, this is how I'm going to approach it. I am not going to buy new. I'm going to buy used. I know some of the dealers may not want to hear this, but again, it's your choice. You can do that. This is not for everybody. If you have a lot of money, or you're wealthy and so on, you can buy 10 new vehicles if you want. That's something that you can afford. But I'm just saying that if you have to be mindful in terms of how to make the best use of your scarce resources, and you can do so by, of course, buying used. Now, if you're in Grenada or in the Caribbean and you want to buy a used vehicle, you can do so. You can either buy it yourself, so you can go on the internet, link up to one of the sites, whether it's in England or in Japan or wherever it is, and you can buy a vehicle from a dealer. Now in that case, it's quite risky. Now you're sending monies out there, you're not sure what you're going to get, you're not sure if you're going to get anything at all. So you have to be very mindful of that. Now ideally, if you have someone in the country that you're purchasing the vehicle, someone who can do what is called a pre-purchase inspection of the vehicle for you, then that of course is would be quite helpful. The person will of course make sure that the vehicle is in good working condition, make sure that there are no dents, no scratches, make sure that the features of the vehicle are working and so on. Make sure there is no rust, because you can buy a rust bucket, you can buy a vehicle that is, it looks good on the outside, but underneath is probably rusting away. So you have to be mindful of some of these things, because in that at that time there is very little recourse. You can't go back and try to follow up with a dealer in another country. Sometimes you basically get ignored. So you have to be mindful of that. But it could be a cheap way to get a vehicle, because of course you don't have to pay the dealer's commission, you don't have to pay other fees and so on, that are usually built into the cost of the purchase. So that's one. Ideally, I would say buy it from a local dealer. Now, the local dealer would have the vehicle in his lot, so you can do a physical inspection of that vehicle. You can also test drive it. You can get a couple of your friends to go along with you, so they can listen to the vehicle, they can feel, you can know how the vehicle is running and so on. Because one of the things that I found, for instance, is that you might be in very smooth road and you don't hear something rattling in the vehicle, or you can have, if you have persons in the back, you probably don't hear certain squeaks and so on. But if you don't have anybody in the back of the vehicle, you probably hear things that you probably would not hear otherwise. So you have to make sure that you check it out properly. And if you don't feel you have the expertise to do so, of course you can get a mechanic, someone who has expertise in that particular type of vehicle, to pre-purchase inspection for you. So they will check, for instance, the computer, they will check the mechanics of the vehicle, check the engine, make sure that the vehicle is in good working order, and you're basically getting your money's worth. So that is what I would advise. Buy it from a dealer locally. Yeah. Now, there are other things that of course you have to consider when you're buying a vehicle, insurance and so on and so forth, but you can do that in your local context. Now I want to talk about if you're buying a vehicle and you are in the US. Again, if you're buying used, you have a bit more help, because you have things like Carfax, and you have other websites that provide very good description of the vehicle's history. They will tell you, for instance, what is the vehicle accident history, how many drivers or how many owners, for instance, own that vehicle. They will tell you what's the service history of that vehicle, so you will see, for instance, from the time the vehicle came off the lot, how many times it was serviced, what basically some of the things were changed on the vehicle and so on. So you know if brakes and tires and adjustments and alignments and so on, you can know when that took place and with what frequency and so on. Of course, Carfax and so on, they're not perfect, so some things may slip, and you may not be able to get the complete picture. But you can supplement that, of course, by getting a mechanic or someone to also do a pre-purchase inspection of the vehicle. They are the expert, they probably know what to look for, what the normal eyes would not see, and give you a report on that, so you can use that. Now, ideally, it means that you have to do a lot of research on the vehicle. And I mentioned Carfax is the one way to do the research. Carfax will also help you with the price, because usually you would have the listed price of the vehicle and you would have the Carfax price. So Carfax will tell you whether this is a good deal, whether it's an excellent deal, whether it's a fair deal, whether it's a poor deal, whatever it is. So they will tell you that. So you can use that as your leveraging tool to be able to negotiate better value for the vehicle. Now, some dealers may decide they're not negotiating, and of course, as I always say, you shouldn't seek trouble to spend your money, so you can easily walk away. All right. So, but you can use that as your negotiating chip to say, listen, this vehicle, the Carfax value on this vehicle is X. Can you offer me the Carfax price? So that's the first starting point. Now, when the dealer would give you the what they call a buyer's order or purchase order, whatever it is, you know, you also need to check for other fees and so on, because, you know, on that sheet of paper that they will give you, you will get a breakdown of the you know, the items that, you know, would amount to the total cost of the vehicle that you would pay. So one of the things that you will see in there, for instance, is title and registration, taxes and so on. You will see that as a company. Now this is some things that you cannot negotiate. You know, that is usually legislated by the state and so on. So you have to pay. This dealer don't have a choice in some of these things. So that is something you have to factor in the cost of the vehicle. And then sometimes you see that the dealers would put in processing fee, or I mean all kinds of other fees, you know, and basically that is really profits for the dealer. They you know, if you don't argue with them, they, you know, they will collect the fees, you know, and then they will turn it back. At the end of the day, as I said, these vehicles are sold as is, so if there are faults on the vehicle that, you know, you find afterwards, then that's your problem. Some of these vehicles, sometimes they don't come with warranties and so on. So you need to check to make sure that you're not paying extra on these vehicles, and some of these things are negotiable, you know. For instance, you know, you can have some of these processing fees. I mean, I don't know what is in there, and it's a good thing to ask them, you know, could you itemize what is in this processing fee? And if it is like, you know, number plates and so on, some of the things that, you know, you need to pay for, then you pay for, but, you know, you have to try to make sure that this is not an exorbitant cost that you're paying and is really just putting money in the pocket of the dealer. So that's that. Of course, you need to check insurance costs before you attempt to get a vehicle, and depending on the kind of vehicle that you get, you know, the insurance would probably be different. You know, you have to shop around. So I had this experience where, you know, I called an insurance company to get a quote on a particular vehicle, and trust me, I almost got a stroke. I mean, this price almost blew me away. It was more than twice the cost of what I would have been paying on the loan for the vehicle, you know. And I was like, why is this so expensive, you know? And so I basically called another company, and I was able to get, you know, insurance coverage for 3 times less than what I would have paid had I not done that research. So you need to check that out before, and then, you know, you factor that into what you will be paying on a monthly basis, because, you know, you don't want to be able to buy a vehicle and you can't afford the insurance cost of it. Most cases, for instance, if you're buying the vehicle using other people's money, so if you're financing it through a bank or a credit union or even the dealer, you know, you have to get insurance. So the other thing that you need to check for as well is that if you're getting finance, you need to ensure that you get the best financing terms. All right, now ideally if you have cash, boom, that's the best way. But if you have to go through a bank or credit union and so on, you know, you have to check the interest rate, you have to check the term of the loan. You know, if they're telling you, for instance, that you can't prepay the loan, then that's a red flag. I mean, if they're telling you pay some additional fees on that, you know, processing fees again for that, coming up with the loan agreements and so on, then that's something that you have to think about very carefully. And you have to also watch the interest rate. So my friend, that is it. As I said, you know, these are the things that you should consider, you know, when buying a vehicle. You know, if you see any red flags, you know, as I said, please feel free to walk away. It's your money. You should not see trouble to spend your money, and you want to make sure that you make a good decision, because this is a significant investment. You know, you don't want to get burned. You don't want to get ripped off in a situation like this. So you have to consider this very carefully. One of the things I omitted to mention was the whole issue of repair, maintenance, and so on. You know, you don't want to get a vehicle, for instance, where you cannot find anyone in the country to service your vehicle. That is a problem. You know, you don't want to get a vehicle where, for instance, that you have to wait a long time to get parts, or the availability of parts is a problem, you know. So you try to get a vehicle where you get parts quite easily. Now, if you're in the US, it's a lot easier, you know, in terms of availability of parts and so on and so forth. But also you have to consider, you know, the cost of these parts, because this can be quite a bit depending on the type of vehicle that you get in. So you have to be mindful of these things, and of course, if you follow these principles, you should you know, continue to make wise financial decisions, you know, wise buying decisions. So my friend, until next time, see you, bye.